Welcome to the Bowdudes, a podcast about archery and the lives it has ruined. The Bowdudes are not responsible for diminishing archery skills or lower IQ.
I worry about breathing.
Shut up and shoot.
And I'm totally lost.
God, I keep having to remember that we're PG-13.
Did help you with those pants?
No, he did not. I'm so glad you have yourself to crack up.
Logic and common sense will not be tolerated.
This is a very interesting podcast so far.
All right, we are back.
Well, part of us are back.
Yeah, part of us. Very limited group here. We got Pibb and Bob and myself. We're going to be discussing something here in a few minutes.
We don't know what yet.
It's a secret.
Oh, okay.
Never, ever give away. You don't know what you're talking about. It's always a secret.
Our tens of listeners already know we don't know what we're talking about.
It's going to surprise us, too, when we talk about it. But anyway, I guess Thunder got hung up driving his truck somewhere. He's, Topeka or Wichita or something?
Topeka is what he said. Got held up in Topeka, and I was going to ask him if the guy had a gun or a knife. And how much money did he lose, but I figured he wasn't in a very good mood. So, and Vince went to the chiropractor to have his jaw jacked or popped or.
I could have done that for him.
He went to the chiropractor to have his,
or the gyropractor, however you want to call it. Yeah.
He probably just went to the Julie practor. Is how it got messed up to start with.
Well, I'm not saying nothing.
Nope, I'm out on that one.
Yeah.
I think Bob knows a story he's not telling us, don't you? Isn't that what it sounded like?
I'm not even going there.
Come on.
Nope.
He must have yelled for the wrong team when they skipped shooting and went to the Cardinals game.
Well, yeah, that's what I figured, that he was yelling so hard at their catcher for loafing to second base and threw his jaw out. So.
I tell you what, I told my wife this the other day. 2 things about baseball that make me mad. One, when you hit the ball, I don't care how old you are or how big you are or how long you've been in the game, and if you hit it directly to somebody, run to first base. That's the biggest pet peeve. And 2, if you wear all that crap up there to bat with, your ass should have to wear it all the way around the bases. You should get to take it off when you get to first.
What time is it?
Oh, it's 4:33.
Gotcha.
I said ass. We can say that one.
Oh, okay.
You can say that. But that always irritates me. These guys, they get up there and they got all this body armor on, so if they get hit with a pitch, it don't hurt. But they get to first base, it takes 3 minutes, and we get to watch them undress. Hand it there, and the first base coach got a wheelbarrow out there with him to haul all their stuff off.
In Little League, we just flipped our helmet off on the way to first base. That way we didn't have it when we got there.
And then you can tell everybody you outran it.
Yep.
I was so fast, outran my helmet.
Yep.
Y'all had helmets?
Not leather straps, Bob. Speaking of helmets, we used to...
Uh-oh, here we go.
It's a quick story, too. We used to go riding with this guy at work, and we'd all go down to Winoka or somewhere and go riding ATVs. This guy had a gigantic noggin. I mean, he had a big old head. We couldn't find him a helmet around here that fit, so he went on Rocky Mountain ATV and ordered a triple extra large. It did not go on his head. So the next time we all went riding, we took a 5-gallon bucket, cut 2 eye holes out, put a chin strap on it, slid a 5-gallon bucket on his head. It barely fit.
But you see, the professional sports out here is way different than the sport that we're participating in, because, I mean, once you become a professional football player, basketball player, baseball player, all you got to do is go out there and, like baseball, if you hit the ball, get on base 3 times out of the 10, you know, you're going to be a millionaire.
Mm-hmm. And in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
You hit 3 12s out of 10 targets, Pibb. Where you going to be?
7 down if you shoot a nickel.
But I mean, really, it went in in archery, you got to perform every shoot, or you'll be like me, just looking up at everybody.
Well, or me, just donating to the cause.
Yep. But I'm not a big fan of professional. I watch them, but I don't watch much basketball.
I can't stand pro basketball anyway.
Yeah.
When everybody's taller than the rim.
We called those guys pumpkin pushers when we was in high school because we were all on a wrestling team.
I was a pumpkin pusher.
Was you?
Yeah. But the wrestlers didn't call me that because I used to wrestle in grade school too. So.
Gotcha.
Bob was bigger than all the rest.
No,
I'm not much of a
different.
sports type guy either. I mean, if it's not archery or UFC or something or boxing, I could care less about watching it.
See, I could care less about watching boxing or UFC. I don't know what it is. I'm like, okay, you beat him up. You can get off of him now. He ain't moving.
Well, there's a difference there. Did you play team sports in high school, Gary?
Yeah.
Did you play football?
Yeah.
Did you play baseball?
Yep.
Bob, you played basketball?
Played everything.
Yeah.
I never did.
Football, baseball, basketball, and track.
So to me, I mean, I wrestled, and that was an individual thing. And then later on, I found archery, which was an individual thing. So I don't have that team mentality. So to watch a team of sports, I'm okay, whatever, guys. Score more points, move the ball.
Well, it's not always a team effort, though. Like going up to bat's not a team effort.
No.
You know, stuff like that. But it all works out.
Sometimes it should be, though.
Yeah, you think.
I mean, instead of trying to hit the home run because I'm going to get $1 million with a different team next year,
Yep.
he should be hitting it to the opposite field to advance the runner or score a
Right.
run or whatever. So
Should play for the name on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It'd be a lot simpler that way, wouldn't it? So you think we should talk some archery? Just
might as well.
out of curiosity. I mean,
Being how we're an archery podcast, or
that's debatable.
you got a point there.
So, hey, Bow Divas, they're an archery podcast, a podcast.
Podcast?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm staying away from that one, too.
I ain't
What?
touching it.
That was a compliment. Bow Divas, an archery podcast. They had great interviews the last few weeks.
They have had.
They do have their own slot now. They're at,
Yes, they do.
on Tuesdays, Outdoor Podcast Channel. So check them out. We hear they're pretty good. None of us listen to them because we really don't care. But did I just say that out loud?
Yeah, I have to admit,
Sorry.
I listened to them.
I thought I was just thinking.
I listened to both of them, both their last two there, and I got to say, sorry, Stan. I mean, they put poor Stan Harmon through the ringer and back.
Yes, they did.
He was worried about what he had in his quiver that he didn't know about and different things.
Well, then he's not careful. If he's around the diva, he's liable to find something in his quiver he doesn't know about.
But it was pretty funny. But yeah, it was a couple of good podcasts. So.
Yes, it was. I appreciate the shout outs, Dan. If you're listening.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
So
But he's working hard. I mean,
he is.
And
He's, man, I mean, from, I don't know, I think I met Stan back in 2006 or 2007, I guess it was. And it was guys like Stan, Sean Thompson, Sean Groder, me, William Lane, and Jim Forbes, and heck, I'd even throw Jack in there back in the day, and there was always a bunch that you better have your A game when you showed up because somebody did.
Brian Taylor was pretty salty too.
Brian Taylor, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Yeah,
So,
I heard that Gibson guy was a pretty good shooter.
he
If he
used
wanted
to
to
be. Yes, he can. Man, I don't like to shoot with him, though. He takes forever.
Human rain delay. Like what?
So I guess
Bad, isn't it?
Yeah. We won't pick on the guy. He's not here.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, it's
no.
more fun
Hey,
when he's
he
here.
got released to shoot now. He can shoot his bow. He can
I heard
walk
that.
and all sorts of stuff now.
I did hear that.
So he's almost back to the land of the living.
So what'd you do in archery this week, Gary?
Nothing. That is the honest truth. I have done absolutely nothing.
You've been pretty busy with the lawn care deal, though, lately, right?
Well, we're, 6 or 8 inches above normal rain for the month of May.
Things are growing like crazy?
Yeah. It rained 5 days a week, doesn't rain on the weekend. Guess what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And those 5 days a week, I'm trying to catch up sleeping from working 60 hours a week or so at Ford. So it's been fantastic. It's great. My kids call me Paycheck because I haven't seen them for so long. They're like, hey, who's that guy? I walk in, they go, hey, Paycheck. Like,
well, and right now,
hi, girls.
They're at the age where they kind of need to know who you are.
Well, that was just text them while we're sitting here trying to reset the iPhone for one of them because there's 16 gig phone. It's full. Shut itself off. Would not do anything.
Oh, wonderful.
How do you take that many selfies? That's like 19,000 selfies. But anyway, my wife's trying to figure this thing out. So if I get distracted easy.
I saw where Bob might have done something in archery this weekend.
Now I shot a little bit. I probably shot more arrows than you guys.
I guarantee you shot more than I did.
Yeah, I went over and shot a field shoot over at East Fork on Saturday, and had a goal. And I shooting with some really good guys. Bill Myers from over by St. Louis, and they do shoot a lot of field. And man, he shot really well. And then can't think of his name right off. Richard Pauly from up at Iowa, and he comes down and shoots field.
Oh, does he?
Time. Yeah, and he shot real well. And I had a goal of breaking 500, and which isn't a very good score, but I shot a 499, so I was close. And then I went over and qualified on the ASA over at Marshall.
Well, thank you for the support.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. They had the range was changed up quite a bit over there. They had some heavy rainfall, and they lost a bridge, that main bridge coming off.
That had to be a heck of a rain to take that big old bridge out.
B&C, and we were back in there shooting on that side because they where they changed it at. You went in like a normal B,
right,
and you came around and you came back up right by that on that hump where that bridge was at. Came back down, and where C used to finish up, you went right up the creek. You didn't. Because the boy that was shooting with his core, he got around there and he said, oh, no, we're going to have to go up that giant hill that we usually come down. But we didn't. They just had us go right up the creek and then come around, and you came out where C usually started.
Yeah.
So, while we were back up in there on that, about the fourth or fifth target, all of a sudden we heard noise and looked up, and a fairly large tree that was on that ditch bank fell.
That had to be exciting.
Yeah, and I yelled timber, and we was close enough to the to the clubhouse there where they all stopped and they looked, and of course they all started laughing. But it was, if a person would have been over by it, would have been scary,
that could have been ugly.
But
I was pretty impressed with London being this last weekend that they had as many qualify as they did.
Yeah, there was actually 2 or 3 boys that they said drove all the way back from London that they knew they weren't going to get to shoot. So they got in about 3 o'clock in the morning and slept a little bit, 3 or 4 o'clock.
That's dedication, gentlemen.
And came back out there and shot. And
they shoot on Sunday?
When they were at London, they knew they were going to get rained out, so they just loaded up on Saturday evening and drove all the way back from London to shoot that shoot there at Marshall.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were talking about if they shot the field on Saturday or just shot the 3D on.
Those boys were out in London, Kentucky, shooting.
We didn't have that option.
You had to stay until they called it?
Yep.
Hey, Bob, you made me think of something a minute ago about that tree falling. We were down in Arkansas. We went down there to go fishing. We were fly fishing. And I guess, I don't know if it's what the game ranger and the forestry department, because all of them showed up after this happened. We were standing out there. It was hot. I mean, probably 90, 95 degrees, and we're fly fishing. It got dark and started raining. We all go get in the truck. We're sitting in the truck for a few minutes. Stops raining. We get out of the truck. We're all standing beside it. All our gear's in the back, already got wet. And we hear this, like a snap, like a firecracker or something going off. And there was I'm not even sure what kind of tree it was. It almost looked like a big sycamore tree, but it went straight up. This thing popped about 50 feet up, and the top of it shot straight up in the air, smashed the bed of my truck, the one we just got out of. They had everybody and their brother show up to look at this thing. And the guy goes, well, best we can figure, the sap was hot and it cooled off so much it just expanded and blew up.
I've heard of that.
He said it's not real common, but it's not uncommon because we see it every once in a while, maybe once or twice a year. He goes, y'all are lucky because it literally missed the cab of my truck by about 2 feet, smashed the side of that truck. We drove it home anyway. It didn't tear anything. It just smashed the bed of it. And then one of my cousin's husband, actually, he started running away from the tree. Part of that tree hit him and actually knocked his shoe off while he was running. I mean, that thing was nasty.
Wow.
You're going to remember this one, aren't you? Well, yeah.
It's
kind of one of them you're not going to forget. But that's my tree story. Yeah. That's my archery story for the week.
Okay. If you say so.
That's a good one. So,
it's worth a try, right?
But yeah, Marshall, they got creative and had 15 and 15, so we shot 30 targets, and they did a good job,
Marshall's always been a good club.
Yep. Yeah.
The bad part about that is that crowd's getting older, and they're getting tired of not getting any help, and there's rumblings.
Yeah, but they've rumbled for several years.
Have they really?
Yeah, they'll stay in there and keep going.
I hope so, because I really like that shoot. It always eats my lunch, but
well, that's what I told myself, because I shot senior known, and that side, the B side or whatever they want to call it, they had A side open and then they had B side, and it should have been a cupcake. And I shot with Jerry Dinker there and a couple other boys, and I told Jerry, I said,
how's Jerry doing?
Jerry's doing pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, I just talked to him a while ago. We're going to have kind of a Sims at the Soybean Festival the first part of August there.
Oh, right on.
At Norburn, yeah. And so we've been trying to look for a safe place to shoot it, but no, I told Jerry, I said, coming off this 15 targets, a person ought to be 30 up. And honestly, it was, I think, like 33, 34 yards was the farthest one, and on into 15.
Right.
So, but I wasn't 30 up. I ended up being 19 down for the whole thing, and I thought, man, I didn't feel like I shot that bad. I just didn't get any 12s, and it's like my.
That's the thing about it, though. You can shoot really good, but not score really good.
Yeah,
just off that 12. I mean, you made how many did you have just out of the 12?
Several. I mean, my course management was terrible too because, after you shoot an 8, then you really think you got to be gunning for something, and then you turn around and shoot another 8.
God, he is the best at setting this up, isn't he?
I don't know what he's talking about.
I'm talking about how I shot.
Okay.
And but yeah, there's lessons to be learned at every shoot, even if it's one that you're the only one in your class. But afterwards, looking at the scores and stuff, there wasn't anybody that really lit it up. So I guess it wasn't as cupcake as I thought it was. But what'd you do over the weekend? Over the last.
I attempted to shoot London, Kentucky.
We know what you did on one target, and Bob made a great segue about it.
Shut up, Gary.
He did it with a straight face, too. It was amazing. You want to go there first, or you want to tell us about the other? Just the shoot in general.
It was typical London. It's been a while since I've been there. We rolled in. We left here let's see, about 8 o'clock time we actually hit the highway, and there was 3 of us that went, and we traded off and wound up getting there about 7 a.m. Friday morning.
Who was the third one?
J.D. Cruz, the guy that...
He sounds like a baseball player.
He that new shoot that we went down and shot in El Dorado Springs, Fly Creek Archery. He's the guy that owns that and runs that club. And I was down there for his shoot here a couple weeks ago and mentioned the fact that I had an extra room, and he said, "Well, heck, I'd like to go." And so he loaded up and went with us.
I heard there's some ups and downs about that Fly Creek too.
Oh man, it's awesome.
You go up and then you go down and you go back up. So
yeah, it's a really cool shoot. It's probably the funnest 3D range I've shot in a long time. Some 20-degree uphill, 20-degree downhill, take the ground away from you. I mean, I've never had so much fun getting my tail kicked as I did that day by a 3D range. But anyway, we got down there and messed around for a little bit here and there and talked to some folks. And shot the team shoot. Had a really good team. We shot 26 up on our team. And thought we had a pretty good score until we heard of a 50 up.
Oh, my.
So,
just keeps getting bigger and bigger, like Stan was talking about on there.
It does.
It used to, if you shot up at all, you thought you were in the money, and now you better be.
Oh yeah,
up.
You're way up.
Yeah, and that's just because a lot of guys have really pushed the envelope, and if you're going to hang, you better put in the work.
Yeah,
because there's guys that are, and we did the team shoot. That was Friday. Got done with that, and we were exhausted. And running back into the guy, that JD, he comes off the range and tells us, "Hey, I talked to some guys about the hotel we're staying in. They say they got bed bugs." We're like, "Oh, great. Here we are all wore out." So we went in and told the gal, said, "Hey, you ain't going to charge my card for this until we go check these rooms out." And we went in and tore them beds apart, and there weren't any bed bugs. So
cockroaches ate them all.
Is that what it was? That had to be what it was. But and once again, I mean, there was a few questionable characters staying across the hall from us. For lack of a better way to put it, I think he had 3 teeth in his head. He was wearing a gray wife beater and going 100 miles an hour at 10 o'clock at night. And then when I saw him at 5:30,
he probably shot K50.
He wasn't a shooter.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't a shooter. And then 5:30 in the morning, I go up to the coffee area, the up front, and he was in there still talking 100 mile an hour,
but looked completely well rested.
But that was our excitement at the hotel. And then Saturday we went and shot a little bit on the bags, and I went up and got on the practice range, and actually ended up shooting the practice range with Andy Doss, the guy that ended up winning Senior Pro.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just he and I, and we were shooting down into the dark, and I had the sun at my back, and had a glare on my lens, and I couldn't see. So I tried cocking my scope housing a little bit, and I thought, man, I can't do this today. I'm not going to fight this. So
did he say, "Can I hold your umbrella for you, Pibb"?
No.
Okay. Just checking.
So I promptly ran to the Shrood booth and found a scope on sale that had an up pin in it, and went over and tore my scope apart 30 minutes before I had to shoot. Went to the practice bags and shot, I think 5 arrows at 20, 5 at 40, and 3 arrows at 50, and called it good and went and shot. And it was working pretty good till the storm came.
Till the storm hit.
And everything that I had gained on the first 10, I gave back on the second. So, and then some. So
I was waiting for that part.
Well, I saw some footage here on Facebook of how hard it was raining.
oh, man.
The ladies up there were up along the power lines and standing under umbrellas. They were all huddled together and stuff, and I mean, it was just putting it down.
It was. It dumped hard. And the bad part about it was we were at a point on the range where we had just finished shooting the uphill side where you shoot up into the timber. Excuse me. And you turn the corner and you shoot down the hill. And it got dark down in there.
Yeah.
And the very next target was like I'm going to say it was probably a 48-yard blessed buck. And that's a dark target anyway down in there. And our group decided we were going to go ahead and shoot it because we heard it, and things were starting to get dark, and we were afraid we were going to lose even more light. So we went ahead and shot it, and, man, I broke a shot. And I thought, oh, yeah, that's money, and looked down there, and that knock's just shining in that 12 ring, and turned around and looked at the guy, and he goes, you ain't going to like that one. So looked back down it with the glass, and about that time, here came the storm. And the 4 of us got all our rain gear out and sat in for a good, 20, 30-minute storm. But time we got, and then it cleared up. And it got a little bit lighter, and we finished on out. And I got into oh, no, I shot a 5. I need that back. So it took me out of my game plan, and I started gunning hard at 12s, trying to make up 5, and just somebody did, when I start digging a hole, somebody needs to come take my shovel because I'll keep digging.
Yeah.
We couldn't. You're shooting arrows with it.
And we got done. We finished the very last target, and no sooner walked back out of the lane, and here it came again. And I mean, it flat poured. And it looked like Saturday night at the mud pits coming out of there. There were trucks sliding everywhere. I don't know if did you see the one video?
Yes, I did.
Of that red Ford that went down over the hill.
Went in between the people under the awning and the others.
Almost hit that other car. Almost hit the awning, and there was a guy sitting in there handing out water, and it almost hit that awning. And
what, did the truck just slide down the hill, or
yeah,
was there an idiot in it?
There was an idiot in it.
There was an idiot in it. Don't know who it was, but
if you're listening,
he was
sorry,
trying
idiot.
to get up speed to get up the hill,
and it
slid off.
Everything was off camber to the left. So as he was going down, it just got away from him and just kept going. Wasn't nothing he could do.
When he got off, he was more than a half a bubble off.
Yes, he was. And we're sitting on top of the hill watching it all, and there's trucks sideways in the ditch. There's, it was. We like to never got out of there.
What'd y'all take?
We walked in, and I shot with a guy. I had the foresight, coming from me. I know. But I had the foresight to ask the guys in the group if any of them had driven up in there. And one guy said, yeah, I'll give you a ride. And I ended up riding out of there with him.
Did y'all park where'd you park?
Well, they let us drive back to the range. We were on the farthest range out there.
So you didn't, what car did you take? That's what I'm asking.
We were in Barb's Impala.
Okay.
But we left it in the parking lot down there and then walked out.
That's what I was wondering if y'all parked in the grass or something and got stuck somewhere.
No. We didn't get stuck, but we walked on out to the range, and there were a bunch of folks who drove out there in their pickups. because it's a power line cut is what it is, and there's a clay road that runs up, and we were like the third hill back on the very end, and it was a pretty good walk out there. I'd say close to a mile. And
a lot of people around here don't know clay roads are very, very slippery, aren't they?
Oh man, especially when you add water.
Yeah, it doesn't take much water to get them that way either. I'm surprised they made you poor old seniors go all the way out there.
Man,
it's almost like
Metropolis. I guess they figure we need the exercise.
They're like Metropolis. I thought, man, I'm going to be up here close, and we're senior, and we just kept walking.
And I thought that was one of the perks of becoming a senior was there. You didn't have to walk as far.
No,
not so much.
Yeah, and you combine the senior with the pro, you ought to be able to shoot from the parking lot.
Right.
Yeah.
That just means you old dudes get to eat lunch at 4:30 in the afternoon or dinner, and you get the early bird special.
Your day's coming, buddy. Your days are coming.
Yeah, but I'm not there yet.
You better start taking better care of yourself.
I know.
Yeah. And you know what? And you know what? I'm not going to forget it because when you do get there, I'm going to laugh at you.
We're going to have a party.
No, we ain't having a party. I'm just going to sit back in my easy chair and laugh at you.
I know, and I'm going to laugh right back. I'm still not going to catch you.
I'm going to have somebody cock my crossbow and put an arrow in it. I'm going to shoot you from my wheelchair.
Speaking of crossbows.
Thanks, Bob.
You're welcome.
Speaking of crossbows, we're standing at the stake at the team shoot the other day, and we're waiting on. We've already finished. Our group's already finished. No. We still had one more shooter. And I'm standing there watching this shooter in my group shoot this target. And I hear, whack!
Yeah.
And I'm like, I look around, and I think a bow blew up, right? 2 targets over, there's a guy over there shooting a crossbow. And it didn't matter. Every time that thing went off, I'd turn and look because you're just not used to hearing them out there.
Yeah.
And
some of them are pretty loud.
This one was pretty loud, and every time it went off, I thought somebody's bow was blowing up. But
put an arrow in that thing, write it down. Yeah.
Was that just a different? I guess still part of the 3D shoot, but was it just have their own class for crossbows?
Yes, they do have their own class.
It's like open and open A and all that stuff like you guys shoot.
It's just the crossbow class.
Run what you brung, basically.
Yep. And they, I'm not sure how many are in it, but it's been a kind of a good deal. Like my area rep, Sammy Klosser, was injured last year. So last year he shot a crossbow just because his boy was shooting too, and that kept him in the sport.
Yeah.
Until he got healed up and could shoot a bow again. So I think it's a pretty cool option.
Yeah.
That's good. That actually means that we can actually stick together. People that hunt with crossbows and use regular bows.
Right.
They can get along. So traditional guys we need to get rid of. Oh. That was just for Vinny since he's not here. Just a little cheap shot for Vinny, but he'll get me back, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, we ended up having to there was all kinds of rumors going around Saturday afternoon about cancel this, cancel that. And nobody knew for sure. And the last message we got was all the pro classes needed to be on the range at 7 a.m. for the final word. And we showed up, and they canceled all the amateur classes. They canceled anything that was scheduled to be up there on the power line. And there were actually some classes who did shoot. No, they did not, because I believe he said they canceled all amateur classes. Don't hold me to 100%.
Just for Sunday, though, right? Because I know Vinny shot Friday and Saturday, right?
Some people shot Friday, Saturday, and I'm not sure how all that worked, but we waited around and finally got word that they were canceling the pro classes too. So they just took the top 5 scores from Saturday and put them in the shoot off.
Okay, like what would, and it may not even happen this way, but what happened if, like, Vinny shot 2 days, he got to shoot all his arrows, and someone in his class only got to shoot 1 day?
I think that those classes already had all theirs in.
Okay. All right.
I can't hold me to that, but I think
I didn't know if they'd go back and just say, okay, you're people that shot, 40 targets, we're just going to take your first 20 or something like that.
I don't know how they did it this time. I haven't looked at it, but I know one year we shot in Metropolis where we got to shoot the first day and they canceled the second day, and the second day they gave everybody a score of 200.
Okay,
but it was all the shooters across the board.
Yeah.
So, but I know, quite honestly, I would have liked to have had the second day to shoot because I was shooting well enough. I think I could have made some ground up, or hopefully made some ground up. But I also understand that a call had to be made.
Sure.
And safety was an issue, especially after that truck almost slid down into that guy and what have you. I know there's a lot of people that, there's a lot of varying opinions on it, but
I was going to ask you that.
Conspiracy
to not shoot on the second day. What was the?
I don't know, and I try to not get in that. I just know that I was told, nope, you're not going to shoot second day, so it wasn't my call. Somebody else made it, so.
Well, it's just like the snowstorm out in Lancaster or whatever.
Yeah.
Basically, this, same thing.
Bad part about it is he's damned if he does, damned if he don't. But, all it would take was for one of the master seniors or somebody. Anybody for that matter, to slip and, run an arrow through them or break a hip or anything.
Get hurt,
get hurt in any way.
Or get struck by lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things I do think they need to find a way to clear the course. If it starts pouring down rain and lightning and all that stuff, instead of having everybody walking back, they got to come up with something.
But it always happens when you're on the back side of the
Yeah.
When we had the state ASA over there, starts with a W, by St. Louis. Wentzville. I know one time we were plumb on the back side and it cut loose and lightning and hair standing up on the end and everything.
Well, we had just finished
lightning you could feel
on my arms.
We had just finished that range, but for some reason, I can't remember what the reason was. Barb had to go back and shoot like the first 5 over, and so the last 5 targets when all that came in, where we were right out in the open, right up front there, and got just.
I was just on the backside on top of the hill by the great big cottonwood tree.
Back there by the buffalo.
Yeah, pretty close. I think I'd shot the buffalo and another target after that, and then it cut loose.
You guys might as well be describing this like I was 20 steps from the big flat rock.
Well, we were
north.
It was in between the buffalo.
We were. The bad thing about it is we're both there, and anybody listening has no clue what we're talking about.
Well,
we were there.
But
we know.
But I was just listening.
I guarantee you, if they'd have been there, they'd have went for that 14 on that buffalo and scored an 8 just like everybody else did.
Right.
Because that buffalo's out there in a wide open, and that 14 looks like it's about as big as
the mayonnaise jar.
At least, or a hubcap or something.
Yeah,
and. There was a lot of holes down underneath it. So
yes, there was.
Okay, I'm going through some notes here, Pibb. So you're gonna have to
notes.
You're gonna have to keep talking.
You have notes.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Matter of fact, Jack sent them to me a while ago.
Oh, did he?
Then I texted him back, said we're not talking about London the whole time, but I lied.
Okay.
The lens you bought. What power lens you buy?
What power lens did I buy? I didn't buy a lens in London.
Yeah, it was that one that was I said was so clear a while ago.
That one.
I picked your bow up and I looked and I said, "That's the clearest damn lens I've ever seen."
Actually, here it is, right here.
Doesn't have a lens
and
in it.
I actually didn't realize it till last night because somebody asked on GroupMe what it was, and it is a Shrewd 3D XL. And then I noticed it happens to be left-handed.
Well, that's why you got such a good deal on it.
Yeah, I'm not left-handed.
Well, and it was hard to shoot when he had it on the other side of his bow, or right-handed bow.
Dinker will buy it from him.
Yeah.
Actually, he's right-handed, shoots left-handed bows. He still do that?
Yeah.
What I did was I brought it home last night, or I got home last night and took it all apart and flopped it over and put the level in it to now my up pin is in the front and I can put a lens in the back of it.
Yeah.
And it is basically a right-handed scope now. So it worked out well.
If we had video, that would be a great one.
Yeah.
But
You were showing Bob as you're talking about it.
I was paying attention.
He was, too, intently.
I know.
But-
I was impressed.
But I did notice that you took it off your sight bar.
Tonight,
Yeah, and it's not on there no more. So.
I shoot Brian's custom lenses. He sponsors me, and he's a great guy, and he has great glass. And as much as I think I want to shoot just in an up pin, there's a part of me that thinks I have to have that little magnification that 4 power gives me, and I just can't. So tonight I switched it back, and tomorrow night I'll sight it back in with the other one. And
But he doesn't tinker with his bow.
Not once he gets it
I
set
haven't.
up.
Hey,
He sets it up. It's ready to go.
If he does, it's a half hour from when he's ready to shoot a big shoot. So
All right, let's ask him something else. If you take the lens out while you're shooting, do you still hit the same spot?
that depends on if your lens is in front of your pin or behind your pin. Most lenses.
It's in the sight housing. Let's go with that.
No. It makes a difference. If your pin is in front of the lens, it tends to not change it. But if your lens is in front of it, especially with a concave lens, the center can be off a little bit, and that's something that you better check to make sure that you have the same point of impact if you get into a situation where you're going to have to take the lens out.
My God, I'm impressed. You actually sounded like you knew what you were talking about.
I know exactly what I'm talking about. It's probably because I've done it before.
You used big words like concave and stuff like that. That was what got me. When you threw that out there, I was hooked.
You're the nicest person
I
of
was
your
hooked.
type I've ever met, Gary.
I was hooked. I knew you knew what you were talking about right then.
So, next question.
I'm having too much fun messing with you. Okay, you want to peeps with clarifiers in them when it's raining.
I don't use one.
Bob?
I just don't let a drop of water get on it. It's like kind of like Stan says, which I don't have right now, but I take a Q-tip with you.
Some people actually take a can of compressed air, too, with them. But
Is there anything you can't take with you?
No.
Seriously, I mean, that was a serious question.
No, man. Have you seen my shooter chair?
I moved it a while ago.
Oh. Well, I've emptied a bunch of stuff out of it, but
No, I mean, they don't care if you take all that stuff with you.
no. So, hey, how much weight you want to pack?
Yep.
Yeah.
But Brian, the cool thing about Brian's lenses is if you get the lens gets spotty and wet, you just douse it with water and it clears it right back up.
See, I've seen some anti-fog type stuff that you can put on them too. And
I've tried Rain X and all that stuff, and if I had my druthers, if I could see like I used to, I wouldn't shoot a lens.
well, yeah. Well, I mean, my eyes, I can't see the water spots on my lens anyway, so it doesn't make any difference to me. But
There you go.
I was just telling your daughter I needed reading glasses. She goes, well, we got a special.
Well, and the thing about it is I probably still see good enough to not use a lens, but I feel handicapped, especially when I hear guys talking about, I can see that 12 ring with my 6-power lens and 2-power clarifier.
Is there a limit on that, too?
No.
Really?
As much magnification as you want or can stand.
okay, like on my when I pull back, like the other day, I had some targets that were back in a hole and dark, and whenever I pull back, if I pull my head away from the peep and my scope, the magnification comes up when I'm not looking through my peep. When I put my head back over to my peep, now if I put a bigger, and I don't have a clarifier in, I just just an aperture. If I had a bigger
Peep aperture?
peep aperture, that would probably help because it would give me more light, right?
Yes.
And it would actually help
Yes, it
my
would.
magnification some.
Yes, it would.
That's what I'm thinking about doing is
I shoot a 4-power lens with either a 3/16 or an 1/8" peep.
Well, we all use a super peep, right?
Yes.
Is that what you use, Bob?
that's what I've got. Yep.
But
You can take the middle out of it.
there's some advantages to shooting a smaller peep, but where 3D is concerned, you want as much light as you can get. I think.
And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna change it out and give myself more light. Hopefully it'll. But yeah, I've taken my lens out, or I've shot without a lens with a different bow, and like you said, you get used to that magnification. It just when you pull back and that target looks like it goes farther away when you don't have a lens in there. It looks.
Well, and see that for me, it doesn't. That lens doesn't make anything crisper or clearer. I don't see any more detail with it. It just makes the target bigger. So
yeah.
Well, by making it bigger, though, wouldn't that obviously give it more detail? And all
not
that
necessarily.
Stuff?
Not necessarily.
So it's not like looking at through a binocular or a pair of binoculars or something.
Not
like
always.
That.
It takes a clarifier to make it clear, crystal clear. Now, you can clear it up some by moving your sight in and out and by changing the size, the diameter of your peep to find a combination that will make that clear. But, I've got a pretty good sight picture with that 4-power lens, but there's not enough to where I can see rings on the target.
Yeah.
So it's not like using binoculars.
No.
Okay. I've only tried one time, and it was a mess.
Well, and
I didn't know what I was doing.
And everybody's eyes are different, and everybody's draw length is different. So, one guy, a 31-inch draw guy, isn't going to be able to pick my bow up at 28 and look through it and get the same clarity. Or it's something you have to personally play with to figure out what works.
Yep.
So,
well, how does it vary though from like if you go a 20-yard target to a 50-yard
it
target?
doesn't change at all.
Doesn't make any difference.
Nope.
Huh. But it'll change. It'll make a whole lot of difference if I'm an inch longer than you are in draw length. It'll completely change everything.
Right.
Huh. Okay.
Well,
I didn't know this kind of stuff.
And it changes with your axle-to-axle bows too, as far as the far away from your eye, your peep is.
Yes.
That'll change a lot of stuff too, as far as aperture size and everything else, because the distance from your eye to your peep. And
so if you're shooting like a short bow,
It's going to be farther away from
and
your
then
eye.
switch to a long bow, you may just completely get all screwed up. Huh, that's
Usually
weird.
that's just a matter of your peep diameter to change that.
Change it out.
But
Okay. That's stuff I didn't know. And I was giving you a hard time anyway.
you always do. I come to expect it.
That's what I'm here for. I don't shoot archery. Okay. We've been having this group me discussion.
The Jack Gibson Elite Summit. No.
Anyway.
Jack, did you? I don't think we explained why Jack says he wasn't here today. His wife, or he hit a deer with his wife's car or something like that.
Which is beyond me because they don't drive it.
Yeah.
I
saw the fender.
It sits in the garage.
Didn't show any deer hair on it or anything, but
I haven't. Where were the pictures? Were they on Facebook?
yep.
Okay, I didn't look
I
at
didn't
them.
even.
Dented up one.
I
So-
didn't see him.
So the car never gets driven. Jack takes it one time and they go somewhere for the day and then he wrecks it.
But he never
Is that-
gets to
is that
drive
what
her
happened?
car again.
So I think he did it on purpose.
Well, Vinny hit one on the way back from London. I'm not kidding. He said he hit it at 80 mile an hour, and that little car of theirs. When he told me, he said it scared the way out of him. But it was a dead deer. It was laying on the highway, and he hit it doing 80. He said he went airborne, so he ramped off the legs somehow, went up in there, and then he took it to the car wash and washed the next day and washed all the dead deer out from underneath it. And
That's Julie's car, isn't it?
He did manage to save 2 steaks off of it, though.
Good for him.
It's pretty fresh kill. So
good for him.
Yeah. So
he would probably eat it too.
Everybody's invited over tomorrow.
3 o'clock. We'll be working. Doggone it.
But I think, he said it scared him because that's not the biggest. What is it? That's
a focus.
Focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was focused. All right. So.
Well, dead deer. I'm figuring side of the highway. When he said they hit a deer, I figured it was the cod that was driving. Probably passing somebody on the far left shoulder.
It's a good thing Julie was asleep. Or
stupid deer.
Yeah. I'm amazed that Julie let him drive.
Me too.
Well, she was asleep.
That's
the drugs finally worked. That's all I'm saying.
Took a half a bottle to get her that way. But
how do you force feed somebody NyQuil? That's what I can't figure out. Spiked her drink at the Cardinals game, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we do have one more thing we need to talk about. Blue fibers. Bob's been talking about that on GroupMe and stuff. He can't see the blue fiber very well.
Well, 3D and I can. When I got on those field targets, I mean, it's bad when you can see your fiber, and then when you get it up into the center of the target, it disappears. So that's when you know to go ahead and continue to pull through with your shot. When you can't see when your pin disappears. And so I've been asking everybody, and I got real good advice from a lot of people. And it's there again, it works different for different people. I mean, somebody said yellow. I've been told red because there's nothing red out there in the.
Well, me personally, I'm about half colorblind. I can't see red very well.
Okay.
That's why I like the green, because it shows up on just about everything for me. Now, I shot blue for a long time, and I like the blue pen. But I've shot blue for so long, I tend to get hung up on the pen because it's so clear to me. So I kind of went to the green because for some reason it's easier for me to go past my pen and focus on what I want to hit. And when I put that blue pen in there, I just zone in on the pen and get hung up on it, and that's not a good deal for me.
Well, who is it that looks at their pen instead of the target?
I believe that's Chance.
Chance, okay.
Bobeth.
Well, I actually did that a couple times on some of those field targets that, I could draw back and the pin would disappear. So then I'd blink my eyes and then focus on my pin, and I could see my pin then, but then I'd get it up there, and through your scope housing, you could kind of see the target back there, and I'd get it in there where it was supposed to be, and then I'd start focusing on the target and lose my pin again.
Yeah.
But then I'd execute my shot and hope up.
How'd it work out?
Sometimes good, sometimes not so good.
Yep.
So, and it seemed like, and for some reason it seemed like it was worse from 35, or say 30 to 48 yards, right in through there. The 80-yard on out there, I didn't.
No problem.
No problem. And the walk-ups where it was like 70, 60, 50, 40.
Right.
That didn't seem to, until I got to 40. But and then the close ones. The one thing I really feather in my cap for Saturday on the field range was that what I always call the damn bunny. It's
some people call it the rat, some people call it the bunny.
It's got me many times, and let's see, on the hunter you shoot all from like
11 yards.
11 yards, yep. And there's 4, and they're pretty small, but 11 yards, and they're up and down, and you shoot them. And the field, it's a walk up. You get pretty close because you start.
I think it's
12.
I don't hold me to this. I think it's 35 feet, 30, 25, and 20.
But I've always, it's like I've always screwed up somehow. My releases went off, before I was ready, or I shot the wrong target or something like that, or something's always. But I cleaned that sucker this time.
All right, Bob.
I didn't care what happened the rest of the day. I got that dude clean. But
well, on that, we're talking about sight, the fibers, all the different colors. Can you change out the fibers pretty much on any sight?
Oh, you can. It just takes some ingenuity and work sometimes.
Well, because I've got
some of them are sealed deals that you'll want to send back to the factory to have them do it if you need to change it. But
what about the CBEs?
The scopes?
Yeah, I've got the.
See,
I'm familiar with the sight, but without seeing it in front of me.
The one I bought from Jack, which is a really good one, by the way. It's got a
got a really good price on it, by the way. Too.
It's got 3 bubbles, 3 levels, and they're different colored.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the green one's in there, and my pin is green on that side. So I'm thinking the red one, you slide that in, and it runs through that. And I've been meaning to ask him that, but I think you can change the color of your
level
pin,
to change the color of your pin. Yeah. Huh. I know that this new scope housing came with a green, a red, and a blue level.
Yeah. Well, those
29 millimeter ones, yeah.
The Shrewds I had, they all came with different ones too. Hey, real quick, Bob, you were telling me when we were standing outside earlier. I think we were in here when Jim was with us. You said you learned something from a kid this weekend.
Oh, well, yeah, he's a kid. He's like 38, 39 years old.
He's still a kid.
He's still a kid. Yeah, and it's
this was a neat trick, Jim.
It's all
I do it all the time.
Just now hearing about it.
If I was mad, which never makes it really good to shoot a target when you're mad. But what they had done, they had taken and being as they had to rearrange a bunch of stuff on that A side to put 15 targets in there. They shot a couple of doubles out there, and then they put in this other one, and they went back in the brush, right, and cut a hole back in there about probably 6 yards deep, and just made a round hole in the brush and stuck a black hog back in there.
That was nice of them.
Yeah, and Mobo told me that you're going to love some of this stuff. And that was one of them he was talking about because he said he didn't have any turkeys, but he had something special for me. And
you mean Marshall didn't have turkeys?
No, because he didn't have the ASA rings on them.
Fine. The one time I'm not there, they don't have turkeys.
Normally,
and Bob may have disposed of those turkeys.
Normally, there's one whole range of turkeys.
Well, Bob might have got rid of those. They're on eBay if you look.
No,
he still hates them.
They would be burnt. They'd be burnt.
Lighter fluid.
Yeah. But it was back in that hole, and you couldn't see it. You could not see the target, and there was actually 2 guys that shot before me. So I thought, well, I'll be able to see a knock or something in there. No, you couldn't. I mean, you couldn't see anything. And the lens, when you pulled back and looked, it made it that much worse. I mean, we're out in the bright sun and back in that hole, so I just cut her loose and heard foam and. That was my only nickel. I shot all day, shot it up in the neck. But the boy that shot first, he walked up there and he 12'd it. I said, but he didn't have a lens for one thing. And I asked him, I said, how in the world did you do that? And he said, well, I thought I was going to score 10, but he said the 12 just happened to be there. But he said, out there at the edge, if you look, and I looked back out there, and there was a weed sticking up. And he said, as I was looking at that target through the binoculars, he said, I saw that weed sticking up in binoculars when I was looking. And he said it followed right up behind the back leg and basically pointed to the tin ring. And I looked at him, I looked over there, and I thought, if I hadn't been so stupid and been mad just because it was back in the hole. And
you'd have picked up on that.
Yeah.
Bob's a cheater.
It's just like anything. Looking at trees when they're down across the draw or something like that.
Black targets are difficult. Period. I mean, you can't hardly see any detail on them usually, especially if they're a newer target. But I always try to pick a shadow or a blade of grass or a leaf or something to reference off of. Okay, I need to be 3 inches above the tip of that weed and 2 inches to the right, and hold in an area and hope for the best. So, or I try to pick a lighter spot on the target, or a lot of times you'll have a shoulder definition that comes down through that area, and you know that, okay, the 12's just off that little muscle right there, 2 inches to the right and an inch up, or whatever. I don't. But.
Well, I had a lot of fun because I was the only one in our group shooting senior known, and they had a double there, and they had a howling wolf or howling coyote, I guess, and sitting there, which was smaller. Then they had I think it was a caribou right to the left of it, and looking at it, when you was at the stake and looking at it, my first look, it looked like the howling coyote was like a yard or two farther, and when I clicked both of them with my rangefinder, the caribou was a yard farther than the other one, and so we all took our turns and we shot the caribou, and almost every one of them moved their sight the wrong way when they got
Oh, no.
They judged it the same way I did, on the coyote. And we got up there, and they would say, "Man, I don't understand." And I said, "Well," then I told them the yardages. And they all said, "No," but it must have been just the color of the target and the size of them and everything else. It just made it. Well, that got quiet.
Well, down there at JD's, he had the first uphill shot was really cool because it was the small grazing deer and a bedded buck up on this rock hillside. And when you stood there at the target, I'd have sworn on a stack of Bibles that they were 42, 43 yards, the first one. And that second one was another 4 or 5 yards further than that, just from the way everything looked, and shot out the top on both of them. And I don't remember what the yardage was, but it was like, I'm going to say 35, 33, 34 yards, somewhere around in there. But there was only a yard difference in the two. But the way they had it set there on the hill with the bedded buck higher than the other one, it made it look 5 yards farther. So it was a really cool shot and really tricky.
You can set up the optical illusion, too.
Yeah, you can.
Put a couple of humps between the targets and things. It seems like they go.
They had
farther away.
They had another side of it was a bunch of downhill stuff too, and there'd be like rock ledges, and they'd set something down there to take the legs of the target away from you, to where like the 10 ring was just above the rock, and I was like, "Ooh!"
There was another. It was an elk target, and the head had fell off of it. And the people in front of us didn't put it back. And it could have fell off after they put it back, because when I put it back on there, and it was hard to get back driven all the way down. So, but the head was off of it. And you talk about messing with a person.
Oh, man.
Because, and I shot first on it, and I looked, and it was hard, because it looked like the spot I picked, without that head on there, it looked like the kill spot was, where the 12 ring was way too far to the left on that animal.
Right.
And because there wasn't anything out,
right,
past it. And you wouldn't think that just the head part of it would mess you up like that. But so, after I got drawn back, and I shot about, just off of the 10 ring back to the right of it, and
right.
I couldn't make myself hold up that far.
That's one of my pet peeves is you need to leave the target the way you found it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people won't put the targets back together if they split in the middle, or if they're leaned over, they won't stand them back up. And to me, that's just like it. You know, you don't get the same advantage as the guy before you or the two before you, or the person that shot it when it was fresh target. You know, right off the bat, they got to shoot it standing square and straight up and all that. So.
I got a question for you on a quarter and away target. I've noticed, and they had a couple of them over there, and everybody was shooting to the left, and the target was quarter and away.
Which way was the target facing?
It was facing away from us, and it was quarter and away, and it seemed like everybody was shooting it to the front. I don't know whether it was just coincidence or what, but everybody
that's typical.
That was shooting. So,
it's typical. And when you quarter one away, you basically take a 10 ring that's 5.5 inches in diameter, and when you quarter him away, you cut it by 1.5 inches.
Yeah.
So when you have a lot of these 3D targets, I mean, I obviously don't shoot competitive 3D, but have looked at a lot of the targets like the ones you have in the backyard and stuff. Those the 12 rings and 10 rings, are those supposed to be the kill zones, or is that just the ring they put on the target?
Yeah, that's basically the scoring rings they put on the target. I mean,
right.
Okay.
Well, they kind of give a.
It's a generalization, and that's about as close as you can get, because some of them you think there's no way on God's green earth I'd shoot the deer there,
unless it's like an African animal, and those kills are farther forward because that's where they tend to be. And then where we used to shoot a range, I forget which range it was, but they had a deer that was designed with a quartering away.
It was Marshall.
Is it Marshall?
Yeah.
Where the 10 ring was farther back on the target because they'd set it quartering away.
So that right where you would actually shoot it.
Right.
Okay. I wasn't exactly sure how those scoring rings were set up, because everybody's like, "Oh, we shoot the high 12." You wouldn't shoot an animal up there on purpose.
Well,
it just don't make sense on some of it.
The reason I know it was Marshall is because one of the bud shoots, my son and his buddy and I were shooting.
Oh, they had him down there at that long. Yeah, I remember that.
But it was my son hit him back. He said that's where I would shoot it anyway, and I made a perfect shot. Right in where the scoring rings are supposed to be is before Marshall lets you use binoculars. We go down there, and I got the nickel, and he got the 12. So and so he crowed about that. But yeah, Marshall had a couple of those. Okay, on a quartering to you, if you got a one that's quartering to you, do you
shoot him in the face?
Do you call the upper 12 on that one?
No, I don't call uppers much, and because I tend to not, my tendencies are to shoot low. So,
okay. What about one leaning towards you?
I'll take that. I'll take that. No, I'm still going to shoot at it.
I got to call the upper especially the one leaning towards you. We had one of those over there.
I could see where you would.
Yeah, because you could see the whole thing right at you, and the other one you could see. It was a frisbee, laying down frisbees, what it was.
Right.
I call it. But
can you imagine me trying to shoot an upper on anything? As low as I shoot,
I called uppers all day the other day because my yardage on my sight tape was about a yard or two too hot. Instead of being, smart about it and setting it that way and shooting dead at it, I just started shooting center, hoping it flew up in there.
Bob just looked at him and went, upper 12 the whole course, boys.
Hey, one year I shot.
Shooting hot.
One year I shot with a guy in Texas that called every upper, and we all thought he was nuts. And he ended up 10 up on the weekend and third place on the podium.
Yeah.
So, but
he
wasn't aiming at him. He was holding center and adding two.
Yep. That's basically what with my sight tape being hot. That's basically what I was doing.
It's not a bad idea, then, is it?
No, it's really not. I've shot that low 12 for so long now that it's just it's what I'm used to.
Basically similar to that article I read the other day about not moving your pin, moving your bow when you have a single pin. Just adjust where you're shooting. It was a long article. I forget where it was. I read it on Rockslide, but they talked about just leaving your pin set the same and then
Hold high or low.
Hold high or low.
That's some WR stuff right there.
There you go.
But what's the point of having a movable pin if you're going to do that? But I don't know. These guys are pro archers, and I'm not. So
Let's see, the Deerman that we ran there for 4 or 5 years, they had a class where you
single fixed pin.
Single fixed pin, and they would put a zip tie on it so you couldn't move it, and turned you loose, and you went and shot, and you held high, low, or whatever.
I'd probably be surprised at how well people did.
And
some people did pretty well with it, but they practiced it.
Yeah. And actually, we had several people that would go and shoot what you would call maybe the open, and come back around and say, "Give me a zip tie, and we'll shoot it again."
Right.
And with a single pin, and go back out and shoot her again. So you got for one shooter, just like you got two shooters.
Yeah.
Paid 2 entry fees, and so
we might be surprised how well people would do.
I used to hunt with a guy that just shot. It was a regular, side pin, like 4-pin sight, and he'd take 3 of the pins off and just sight one in at 25 yards, and he could kill deer out to 40 yards with it. So he just knew where to hold.
Yeah,
I watched a YouTube thing, and the guy, and it was just with a 60-pound pull bow, and he was showing with a pie plate on the side of a deer target, and he had it like at 30 yards, and he'd move in, and he held on the same spot, had a spot on that pie plate, and held, and he practiced. He walked forward, and shot it to see where he could hold dead on,
right,
and then he walked backwards to see how far his kill zone was with holding dead on.
That's exactly how they described to do it.
And but he still held dead on in that and backed up, and then he knew how far it was that he could hold dead on.
Right.
But he didn't have a movable sight. He just had it like kind of what you were talking about. So he didn't have to worry about it being off. Yeah. Didn't have to worry about knocking it off, or having it move or anything like that. So back on the ridge that I hunt on, I mean, you might as well figure on 30 yards as your max.
There's a lot of places I hunt that are, 25, 30 yards are going to be your biggest. But then sometimes I like to set up on a field edge where you never know.
Set up on an antelope where you really never know.
Yeah.
You ready for that, Bob?
I guess I am, yeah. I need to start. I should have took my hunting bow over there Sundays. What I
should have, would have, could have.
Yep. But it's, yeah. I'm not shooting the real heavy arrows like you guys are going to shoot, but I think it'll zip through one if I hit him in the right spot.
Mine'll take a little while longer to get there, but it'll be all right. I told Bob earlier, I talked to Jake. He said he's ready to go.
How is Jake?
I go, how's that carbon matrix shooting? He goes, I got it out to 70 yards, just dead on. How about the arrows? He goes, they work good too. Yeah, he's fired up. He's about ready to go.
Is he back in Florida now?
Yeah. He ought to be doing pretty good. He left here with a new bow, everything on it, and a dozen FMJs. Didn't cost him a penny.
Yet.
Yeah.
There'll be a trade-off down the road.
Yeah, maybe. I'm supposed to get my Alpha Max back. That'll be for sale.
Speaking of that, somebody was offering you what you asked for on that Ultra. What was the bow with the C2s you had on Archer Talk?
Ultra Elite.
Ultra Elite, yeah. But I think you sold it quite a while back, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I may have a message on there. I haven't checked it in days.
Yeah, he offered. He said he'd take what you was asking for it, so which is probably $50 more than what you got out of it. That's my luck all the time.
Yeah.
I get a PM right after I
Then,
said
for some reason, those two both sold, boom, like hotcakes. And same guy bought them both.
Really?
Yep.
Can't beat that deal.
A week apart.
Must like the first.
That first one was a piece of crap. I'm getting another one.
So that shot's so good. I'm
Try
going to
it
get
again.
2 of them.
I know the feeling. Just make sure they got the same mods and everything on them when you buy them. It's easier that way. But, well, boys, we better go. Some of us have to work tomorrow. All 3 of us.
Yes.
The normal slackers aren't here.
Yeah. What is the deal? The guys that aren't working, or is Vinny working?
Except for Thunder.
Yeah,
he's
Thunder.
working.
Yeah, he's working. Yeah.
Jack's lollygagging, I'm sure. Still.
Vince off this week?
number 52. I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Vinny. I didn't.
He might. You never know. Is he ever really on?
I don't know.
There's a better question.
He's a high-low operator. You don't know if he's on high or on low.
But he's an operator.
Yeah.
We'll give him that much.
That's all right. He needs to get back to doing this with us. I miss him.
He'll be back.
Yeah.
He had to get,
You got your jaw popped.
when Julie fixed his jaw, he's got to go have it readjusted.
No, I could have done that.
Me too. We got that vice over there.
Right?
Hey, it all works, right?
Set Allen wrenches.
Yep.
Got a big old toolbox.
Toolbox.
We can torch a welder. We can fix him.
We can fix it. My dad's got an ultimate set of tools.
Right? Spicoli.
All right, Jim.
Hey,
How's
shout
everybody
out!
get
I
a hold
want
of
to
us?
shout out to Sean Bright. He's one of our tens of listeners. I got to see him shoot.
Good. And
In-
somebody
in
recognized you
London.
by your voice, though, who that was?
Yeah, that was so weird. I was shooting the team shoot, and the guy, a couple targets down, comes up to me and says, "Hey, you're Pibb, ain't you?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "I recognize your voice."
You start looking for a name tag.
He said, I'm going to beat you. You're like, oh, my God.
You never know, man. Duke's up.
I made somebody matter.
All
that was
right,
cool.
well, let's wrap it up.
All right. Tell everybody how to get a hold of us.
Okay, you can find us on Facebook at The Bowdudes, Twitter at Bowdudes, Instagram at The Bowdudes, or you can email us at thebowdudespodcast@gmail.com.
That was impressive.
You know
No
it.
help whatsoever.
You know it. No, I need the sign.
Okay. Well, at least you were honest about it. All right. We're going to try this again next week. I think we got Doug next week. I think that one's a for sure this time.
Cool.
Supposed to, anyway. That's what Jack said. But who knows? We could put this thing out in 4 weeks and we could already had Doug. Nobody's really going to know. Right?
Okay.
We could.
Yeah, I
That's how
agree.
we could do it however we wanted to. All right. Say bye, Bob.
Bye, Bob.
Where are you going to see me?
In the funny papers, I'm
There you
sure.
go.
Shut up and shoot.
See ya.